Hello, my name is Johnny Venerable, and I am tired of calling Sean McVay daddy.
Can Kyler Murray finally beat the Rams at home in his NFL football career? And today we spell redemption B-O-B-R-A-C-K. It's PHNX Cardinals now.
Hey, welcome in live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star on this football Friday. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Brack, Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire behind the mic. Craig Morgan set to join us here in a little bit. This show, of course, is presented by our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why it is never ordinary here on a football Friday with our friends at Bet365. What a game to preview. Sean McVay, a outstanding 13-2 against our precious Redbirds. Will the tides turn for K1 and JG this Sunday, Brack?
We need it. We absolutely need it. Want to say a quick hello to the fabulous chat. Have joined us for the start of the show, K2, Jason, Tommy, Ryan, Jules, Felix, R6285. What's going on? Jess, it's a fun-packed show we got for you. Cardinals trying to get off the schneid for the 2024 season. Early on, quick vibe check here from everybody. Thursday Night Football went last night, and the Buffalo Bills improved to 2-0. Thoughts? Anybody feel a little bit better after week one loss for the Cards?
Well, first of all, prayers up to Tua. I don't know. We got our big Miami trip later this year. I'd be surprised if we saw Tua at this point, given everything. But yeah, I mean, you got to feel a little bit better. Buffalo looks good. Did I expect them to look this good? I don't think so. I put out a tweet last night. Of course, it was met with some snark. I said, we got to feel better. Yeah. In hindsight, if you're people about Kyler Murray's performance, if you watch the show, if you're educated, we felt good about K1's performance. But maybe as it relates to, I don't know, the Cardinals defense, kind of, sort of. But Buffalo's a real deal. And had the Cardinals won last weekend, like we would have said that afterwards in the postgame show, like none of us are sweating the fact that like Buffalo's a top team in the AFC. Like we didn't need that last night to reaffirm that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people would have necessarily been able to identify that Buffalo is as real of a deal as they were after last night's performance. Like if they had lost week one to the Cardinals, like they would have thought that a lot of the personnel changes weren't going to work out as well as they have so far. I mean, they look like, as far as how they approach things defensively, their scheme, keeping everything in front of them now has worked to nearly perfection the last 2 weeks. And then Josh Allen just being able to lean on him, and then also getting James Cook running yesterday destroyed me in fantasy. Johnny, I know it destroyed you in the PHNX fantasy league, as that's maybe the one lone thing that Damon can hang his hat on from yesterday's game, is that James did cook. But yeah, and also somebody on this show might have had that as his pick. The Bills plus money. It was the easiest bet to make all week too, everyone.
Congratulations. Had to throw that in there.
You held the line with me, which I appreciate. We all were in unison holding together.
Yeah, except for I'm going to take a big fat L, Daddy Fantasy, this week in the PHNX Sports Fantasy Football League. Nobody cares about my fantasy team. Okay. So, yes, the Buffalo Bills, they're good. The Miami Dolphins, their season is over. Cardinals will travel to Miami at the end of October. We will be there, by the way, with our friends at True Fan Travel to hopefully take in a big dub against Mike McDaniel and company. Will the Cardinals get a dub this weekend? We're going to preview today's show. We are previewing this game, and I don't feel great right now. I keep telling everybody who will listen this week, Bo, I wish the game was tonight. I wish the game, can you just start? Because not only is it Sunday, it's, an afternoon game. We're saddled up. It's a divisional opponent. And I have seen this horror fest one too many times. It's very poetic if you will, that this is Friday the 13th, because is it Jason Voorhees? Is that who's he keeps coming back in the form of Sean McVay. You can't kill him. He won't die in this Friday the 13th microcosm that we're in. But in reality, like, the Arizona Cardinals have not been competitive against the LA Rams for my son's 9, my daughter's 5. Sean McVay's been the head coach there for 6-7 years. The majority of
2017.
Since I've been a father, as a grown adult man, Sean McVay has owned this franchise. And like, you could talk about, the Seahawks and Legion of Boom, and you can talk about Kyle Shanahan and the good things the Niners do. The Cardinals have had success against those teams at the height of their heights.
Yeah.
Not only have the Cardinals been bad against the Rams, they have been borderline unwatchable. So if Jonathan Gannon comes out in the home opener against an LA Rams team that's banged up, they're on the ropes, behind K1 and Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't think it's a stretch to say it will have massive ramifications on how the rest of this season will go. It can spearhead this team.
The entire tenure of Sean McVay since he took the reins in Los Angeles as one of the youngest head coaches in the league at the time, we've had one game that you really can just say, we were better than them that day. The Cardinals were a better football team than that day. It was 2021. What was it? Week 4, road trip to LA. Team goes in there and just blows the doors off the Rams. Weren't they both undefeated at that time? No. And the Cardinals just went in, and Kyler Murray performed at a high level, big play down the field to an AJ Green at that time. Hopefully there's another number 8 team making a big play downfield for the Cardinals today. James Conner looked good. There was turnovers forced from Matt Stafford, and their running back, I think, was Sony Michel at that time for the Rams. You just hope that something can resemble that come Sunday, because outside of that, it's just been shellacking after shellacking after shellacking, outside of one miserable Colt McCoy v. John Wolford in a meaningless game in like week 9 in the 2022 season, where both seasons were lost for both teams. So yeah, this would be a big helper as far as getting things back on track here early for the 2024 Cardinals, and starting to chip away at the narrative as far as this organization and some of the things that people feel like they know to be true. It's just like, Cardinals don't beat the Rams. Well, one way you can change that is by beating them in your first chance of 2024.
I think one of the biggest reasons that I was excited about the hiring of Jonathan Gannon when they made that hire is that I know, and the gauntlet, and this fan base does, of quality coaches within the NFC West. And we can talk about Matthew Stafford, and we can talk about Cooper Kupp, and previously Aaron Donald and Puka Nacua before we went on IR. Like, I really I don't care about the players. I don't think it matters. When Sean McVay entered this division, it did not matter who the supporting cast was, who was playing quarterback, who was playing receiver, who was running the football. That Sean McVay has such an advantage over the likes of Cliff Kingsbury and Vance Joseph. You never felt like they had an opportunity.
Right.
Whereas now with Jonathan Gannon, he's an elite football mind. He's got a full grasp of this locker room. I'm high on Drew Petzing still, even after the second half last week. I'm high on Nick Rallis. Like, at some point, you have to be able to close the gap from a coaching standpoint. And then when it's God forbid, a 1-2 possession game in the fourth quarter, then you let your players speak for themselves and close that gap for you. But the coaching mismatch has just been so apparent, the size of the Grand Canyon, that I really don't even care who plays most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I desperately want this for JG, for Kyler Murray, for Michael Bidwell, for Monty Ossenford. This is the kind of statement where everything gets put into place for the rest of this season. If you win this game, you put the Rams in a 2-0 or 0-2 hold. There are other teams on your schedule now that are falling apart for whatever reason. Green Bay may not have their quarterback. The 49ers might have to put Christian McCaffrey on IR. We just mentioned Tua earlier, prayers up, but it just provides immense clarity. And we talked about it. Can this team scratch and claw their way to 500 viability through 8 games? Because in the second half, it gets substantially easier. But if you're sitting there 1-7, 2-6, and you're just like, well, season's over, it's tough, we can't be expected to win out. These are the kind of games that you have to win. This is at home in your building. Treat your fans to a complete 4-quarter performance. I would imagine, I'm just going to guess, Cardinal fans are going to be out in droves this Sunday to watch Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray. I don't expect a lot of Rams fanfare. It's not a huge fan base. This is a game where if you're Jonathan Gannon, you have to will your team emotionally to just overwhelm a Rams team, second consecutive week on the road, 5 quarters against Detroit. Just pummel them and don't stop, because I promise you, if you give them a window, they will exploit it. And then it's like the floodgates open.
Yeah, they're a well-coached team, and they've got veteran leadership that can, help overcome where they're losing some key players. But let me add somebody to that list. As you mentioned, get a win for Monty Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon, and even included Michael Bidwell. Let me win one for Johnny Venerable. As he mentioned, I mean, experiencing the greatest joy of his life, with his kids, and Sean McVay has robbed him of some of that joy since they've been on this earth. And that's unfortunate. So I'm going to add you to the bottom of that list.
People don't want good things for me, and that's okay. I got thick skin. I'm a guy's guy. You were asking me before the show, you fired up to watch this game, the prestigious premier PHNX Sports Studio with Damon, Dawg, and Britton Golden. And I said, you know what? I'm excited to see my bros. I'm not excited. I have PTSD. I have PTSD watching this team right now. I have PTSD watching this team at home. And I certainly have PTSD watching the LA Rams coming to State Farm Stadium. You had mentioned earlier, I don't know if it was on social or through one of your tremendous shorts that you do for us at PHNX Sports on YouTube. Kyler Murray's never beaten the Rams at home in his career. Kyler Murray's been around since 2019. Can we talk about a do factor? Please, God, can we get a win? Please.
I think he's 1-7 just over his career against the Rams. And then he hasn't won at home. They haven't beat the Rams at home since November of 2014. Jeff Fisher was their after coach.
Oh my God. 10 years? Oh my God.
Jeff Fisher and his flip-flops.
Oh, Jeff Fisher and his
Can we get him back? How do we get him back?
Not going 7-9. I'm not going 9-7. It's like, well, that would be a good season for you, Jeff. And yeah, I mean, Bruce Arians even had a lot of success early on. And then, 2017, when Sean McVay hit the stage, like there was the international incident that was in London. They lost 33-0. Carson Palmer broke his arm. Remember that? That was like the first. That was like the first of many just lopsided games. Like this has been, like we say, bully. Like they've bullied the Cardinals consistently since McVay got here. Like McVay probably just strolls in to State Farm Stadium in Glendale with the biggest crap-eating grin you've ever seen, just knowing, hey, I win here. That's what I do.
Most of the time, it has been through brute force and offensive mastermind trickability. Aaron Donald and McVay together has just been too much for the Cardinals. Now, Aaron Donald is gone. The Detroit Lions ran up and down on this team and wore them out. Now, the Cardinals are not the Lions. We see the Lions next week. But I do think for Kyler Murray in this offense, and let's pivot here for a second, I think there's an immense responsibility. You have to empty the clip on offense to do whatever you can to score as many points as you can. I don't care about time of possession. I don't want to hear about time of possession. I don't want to hear about taking too many shots downfield. I want to be in a position in this game to have a lead and continue to step on the throats of the LA Rams. I don't want to give them a minuscule second of air to breathe to be able to come back in the second half like the Buffalo Bills. You have superior players, in my opinion, offensively than the Rams do in their back seven, just like I think it was the case with Buffalo. Yet you opted to go underneath, play it cute, play it short. James Conner draw plays on 3rd and 6. You're paying Kyler Murray $50 million. I say it every show. Lean into him. Lean into the 4th overall pick. Lean into Michael Wilson. Trey McBride's the #1 tight end in fantasy football this week. I'm not going to be ever okay with losing, but I'm going to be okay if you can sit there and just say, you know what? We did our best and we went to our playmakers and they let us down. At least I can live with that. I'm not gonna be okay.
Be able to live with that.
Well,
you're not gonna be able to
live with that. Of course, but there are levels to not living. I'm definitely not gonna be okay with, you know what? We lost to McVay again, but gosh darn it, thank goodness we got Amara DiMercato his touches. Thank goodness Tip Ryman and Elijah Higgins got going in the passing game. I don't want to hear that. Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to have 8 to 10 targets this Sunday. Michael Wilson and Trey McBride need to have 6+ targets apiece. Yeah, you want to tout James Conner on the opening drive and ram it down their throat. Awesome. But for the LA Rams, you need to establish early and often, we are throwing on you. We have better skill players, and we believe Kyler Murray is a top 10 QB. And now take the training wheels off. I'm sick of this. Let's go.
Well, as Mina Kimes said, you got to take off the governor, right? She told us on this show. And if you want to check out that interview, it's up there already, clipped for you on our YouTube page here on YouTube on PHNX Sports. But essentially, that this Rams secondary, it's set up better for a matchup for Marvin Harrison Jr. in attacking the outside corners. When you start to look at who they have, like they added, a couple guys to their safety. We'll see what happens with Kobe Durant. One of their outside corners who's questionable for this game. They just had to put Darius Williams on IR, and it doesn't look like, we'll see what they get from Tre'Davious White, who is coming off multiple leg injuries after his tenure there with the Buffalo Bills. And then they bring in a familiar player in Witherspoon from that's played in this system many times. So, but it should be better as far as just the matchup scheme for Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray to make some plays downfield and also throw Michael Wilson into that conversation as well.
How are the Cardinals stacking up on the injury report, Bo? You were at Cardinals Avenue, Cardinals Way over in Tempe. Yeah. I don't even think that's the street address, but you were with the team. It's not.
Come on down to Cardinals Avenue and watch
the injury report on the gridiron. Are the Cardinals looking strong for Sunday on the injury report?
They are. Kyler Murray officially off the injury report.
Hallelujah.
I don't know what this was. Was it gamesmanship? Was it just them after the Christian McCaffrey debacle for the 49ers? Were they just making sure that anybody who was viewed as somebody who could have what was viewed as an injury, they just wanted to have listed to cover their backside? Maybe, but Kyler Murray is officially off the injury report. He was full for a third straight day, and he has no game status, which is he's playing. As far as your questionable players, Max Melton, he removed the yellow jersey, non-contact jersey, and was practicing today. He was full. Officially is questionable for Sunday. And then Xavier Weaver, who I got to catch up with today, he's ready to roll as well, but we'll see what his role potentially could be, but officially questionable. I don't even know, like, if he is healthy, does he get a uniform on Sunday, just given, the depth at wide receiver and also the depth in the return game?
Yeah, that's just a non-factor for this week. Like, I don't think you want to have Xavier Weaver make his debut this week. I think DJ Dallas served you well. I think Greg Dortch is a good returner. Yeah. I think Xavier Weaver is a long-term play. I'm happy he's slowly starting to get better and back into the fold, but you're playing the long game with Xavier Weaver. Max Melton, on the other hand, you want to get him in the fold if possible, because he's got a physicality. He tried to make a big hit last week, and he did, but it ended up the running back kept running, or the receiver, I should say. So you want to have your second round pick out there for experience, for depth purposes. But the most important aspect of this is we were doing a show, what was it, on Wednesday, and Kyler Murray had a unceremoniously debut to the injury report while we were live.
Edition. Yeah.
Yes. Thankfully, it sounds like, Bo, much to do about nothing.
Right. And our guy Tyler, who was at the game in Buffalo, says that, and I don't remember this ever being on the broadcast, Kyler going into the tent for a hot second. I don't know anybody that can confirm that or not, but was there something that, was perceived as him getting nicked up a little bit, and they just wanted to make sure that, if there was any chance, he could be not playing come Sunday, they just wanted to make sure that they had their injury report correct and filed, perfectly, because we see what's going on within their division. And that's going to be a story that's going to continue to follow the San Francisco 49ers until they find some sort of decision to make on what happened with McCaffrey.
Cardinals are, for the most part, healthy outside of the notable guys, Jonah Williams, Darius Robinson, injured reserve. And again,
you have a birthday today, and Darius Robinson. You hope that that's a guy that when we talk about Jonah Williams or Darius Robinson, I think you look at D-Rob and could be a candidate to return with the minimum amount of games missed while being on injured reserve.
Got to make it worth it. Got to make sure he comes back for something outside of let's just get some snaps as a rookie. Let's make it worth it for a lot of these players on injured reserve. Mac Daddy 714-499 super chat. Been listening to AZ Sports all day. Well, we can fix that for you. They said we haven't beaten the Rams since 2014. I was 11 when I went to the game and Carson Palmer tore his ACL. It's a tough day that day. I think they still won. But that 2014 team would have been a contender for the 1 seed had they not gotten hurt. They would have won the division. But yeah, it was unfortunate. And it was a big reason why. I mean, Carson Palmer, flash in the pan success, was a great player when he was healthy. He just wasn't healthy, long enough for Arizona.
He was having a great second season in Bruce Arians' offense. And yeah, he tore his ACL, non-contact thing went down. Drew Stanton came in and backed him up. Drew Stanton got hurt. And next thing you know, Ryan Lindley's starting in the playoffs for the Arizona Cardinals. I believe, remember that at halftime, somebody was pushing Bibles for Ryan Lindley while he was in the game getting beat up by the Panthers.
I remember Cardinals defense played really well in that playoff game, and they
Cardinals defense was fantastic back then. I mean,
that was Todd Bowles last year here.
Yeah.
You what? 199. Happy Friday, my handsome kings. Happy Friday to you. You what? We got a bunch of handsome kings on the show. Of course, Damon Dawg behind the mic. Craig Morgan is going to join us later in the show to talk about his most recent preview article. And of course, we're going to give you our final predictions for this game. I want to talk about Haason Reddick for a second, Bo. But before I do, I want to talk to you about our friends at Circle K, America's Thirst Stop. I was just there today. Tremendous vibes, tremendous savings, like it always is for your boy. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the free membership program, the Inner Circle. Save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Save 3 cents per gallon every single day. And like, I know I talk about that often. There are tons of other exclusive deals and discounts, just too many to name, frankly. First 5 Polar Pops are free. How about that? Thirst meets your match plus 79-cent Frosters. How about it? Circle K, Inner Circle, snacks, deals, whatever you want, do it with your premier app with Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. Visit CircleK.com/store-locator to find a Circle K nearest to you.
Are you looking to take your brand to the next level, whether it's like your softball team, your kids' little league team, or even your company? Well, look no further than a local company out in Mesa. Our friends over at Branded Bills Premium Headwear and Apparel that's going to be customized to the highest quality standards you can find right now. Your logo, their quality, it's a great mix over at Branded Bills. Go to their website, brandedbills.com, and you can start to save some money as well just by watching us here at PHNX. Get 20% off your first order, in fact, by using the promo code PHNX at brandedbills.com. And did you watch the Sun Devils last night? They got a dub. They're 3-0. You want to support the ASU football team? Well, why don't you lean into their campus collection right now over at brandedbills.com. Or if you're a Wildcat, if you're in on U of A, who's also about to kick off here shortly in the next couple minutes, you can also find some U of A swag as well. Check out Branded Bills, and of course, check into how you can elevate your brand as well. They got those partnerships with ASU, U of A. Part of that campus collection. Head to brandedbills.com. Use that code PHNX for 20% off your first order.
Man, the super chats, they're hot and heavy today. Dylan, $4.99. Johnny, I heard on Diamondback's podcast that you sung your heart out to Disney songs. Which one was it? So we had a celebratory karaoke party the other night. Bo, you weren't there. And it was myself, Damon, and the rest of the PHNX Sports personalities. We were saying goodbye to Saul Bookman and Michaela and celebrating our 3-year anniversary. I sang You're Welcome from Moana from my guy.
Electric.
Was it?
Oh, my God. So electric. I mean,
maybe some dance moves?
Yeah, that was pretty good. He had that one rehearsed, and there was like some pageantry with it. And yeah, it was pretty choreographed. It was good stuff out of JV.
Now, I did see video. It wasn't of you singing Moana as Maui. But I did see you singing dropping some bars, if I may, from Big Timer.
Yes, I was singing Still Fly from Big Timers. Yeah, I was changing it up. I was keeping everybody on their toes.
And if your toes were doing something, I don't know what you were doing. I guess you could consider that you were trying the gritty. I was embarrassed for you. I was glad I wasn't there.
My son when I pick him up from school and I gritty in front of everybody. Or
when I saw the video, if I had written this live, I might have cringed to death. But I'm glad that you brought it home with a little bit Maui. How was the rap portion of that, Damon? Did he knock that out of the park?
He was pretty good.
Okay.
Johnny was definitely, if they did like an all-pro team afterwards, Johnny was definitely, he made first team all-pro. He was pretty good that night. I think, honestly, Gerald might have won MVP.
Probably.
What did he say?
Gerald was, I mean, he did it all.
He was rapping like Eminem. He was like, it was like 8 Mile.
He was rapping Eminem, but like, you didn't even need the words on the screen. He had it all up there on the dome. It was unbelievable.
Leah was doing some Hamilton. That was outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, not to toot my own horn here, but Johnny, when I did J Bros, that might've been song choice of the night.
Well,
Burning Up.
I'm not a Jonas Brothers fan for a lot of different reasons.
Pretty crazy.
I'm a Damon Dawg fan. So
I thought it brought the house down.
It was good.
You like the Damon Dawg cover of the J Bros. Okay, good.
A lot of good stuff going on with Alpo Brock. Alex Sutton, $9.99. Keep killing it, guys. Reddick to AZ soon. Alex,
transition.
I love it, my friend. I texted somebody this morning. And I said, I'm going to will this into existence here. And I got the response I got back was, they're monitoring. Well, we're monitoring it. And so is ESPN. This is an article today talking about multiple trades that could happen in the NFL. Haason Reddick to the Arizona Cardinals, you don't say? How about this little nugget? Cardinals get Reddick, according to ESPN. Jets, Budda Baker. I dropped this puppy about 7:15 on the Twitter streets and just kind of threw it out there. Didn't give my opinion on it, but I'm here to give the takes. I saved the juicy takes to our fine friends at 4:30 on PHNX Cardinals. So we're going to open this up for conversation before we talk about the LA Rams, their injury reports. Number one, I think there's validity in the Cardinals trading for Haason Reddick. I stand by that. People who are telling you they're not interested don't know what they're talking about. Number two, Budda Baker did not play well last week. That does not mean Budda Baker is a bum, that he won't play well this weekend, that he's not a great leader. This would be a tough sell for a lot of different reasons. But if you're just talking about like player for player, I mean, like, does it make some sense? I have no issue saying it makes some sense, Bo.
Yeah, this is an uncomfortable conversation for Cardinals fans, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're looking at one game performance from Budda Baker in the 3 missed tackles, and it was at Odegaard that said that it happened only like 3-4 times in his career. Forgive me for not having the stat off the tweet, but I mean, as far as which position is more impactful, it's without a doubt a premium pass rusher. And where the Arizona Cardinals have depth at position now, I know we don't know a whole lot about Rabbit Taylor Demerson. A lot of it is projectables in what he looked like against 3rd and 4th stringers in the preseason, but still a lot to take away what you like. Baldy loves him, right? He's a guy that he's been churning the tape on since the end of his Texas Tech days. But if that trade was presented, which very rarely happens, where it's player for player, like the Rondell and Desmond Ridder 1-for-1 player for
gem of a trade.
That's an exception usually to how the NFL operates. But like, I'm looking at the Jets back into their defense, like they could use a guy like Budda Baker, and if they're not going to get anything from Haason Reddick, it might have more value to them when they want to try to win this season with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers then just get there to kind of try to knock on the door of the postseason. They want to go somewhere, and Reddick doesn't want to go anywhere with them. So are they at a stalemate? It'd be tough not to say yes to that deal.
The only issue, like, you'd have to really have a sense of the locker room and make sure everybody felt good about whatever you did. That's a messaging that where you'd have to get Kazir White and Kyler Murray and Paris Johnson Jr. together as your leaders on your team, and James Conner. Just say, hey guys, like, this is what we're considering. trading a captain, trading a, franchise icon. Here's what I will say. Rabbit Taylor Demerson is going to be a starter on this team as late as next year and could be as early as this year in some way, shape, or form. He's going to play a lot. So for everybody that's like, well, no, they need to wait. They don't know what they have. No. He looked good in the preseason. We've heard that he's on the trajectory to start for them ASAP. So like, if you feel like that you could get, better value in return than potentially what you're getting, can Rabbit Taylor Demerson give you 80% of what Budda Baker's giving you now and maybe a plus and a bump in coverage? Reddick's giving you 1,000% better than whatever the hell you're trotting out there now. So again, it's a give and take. I would be worried about the messaging in the locker room. But from an on-the-field standpoint, and this isn't Madden, if this is just like straight up Madden, you're player for player, you do this deal.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I mean, it's you obviously have to tiptoe around it. I mean, it's a delicate situation, and like, is this realistic? Probably not, right? In like the chat continues to crush it, pointing out, trading a captain, trading leadership. Yeah. Like, is that the right move? And you're absolutely correct in asking those questions. But I look at, Budda Baker as he enters the final year of his deal with the Arizona Cardinals, and obviously has the respect of his coaching staff, front office, and teammates. Like, as far as the impact, like, didn't have a pass defended last year. Like, didn't have an interception. Like, you're not getting a ton of he's got good tackling fuel, and I think you can look at the first game and say, hey, that's a bit fluky for Budda Baker.
We hope.
But when you look at where your biggest hole is on defense, it's the pass rush, and like, you have to give up something to get something. And like, if there's not, like, if this organization has evaluated things and said, hey, we're unlikely to re-sign this guy, I don't know. It just seems like it would be a chip, but it's unpopular to say that, and I understand people who would push back on that. But I mean, Haason Reddick's got 4 seasons of double-digit sacks.
You're giving up the second most amount of points per game in the NFL, and Budda Baker's been a part of your defense during that time. Now, he's not the culprit for that.
No.
But like, start churning this puppy and the personnel involved and try to get a different result. I'm all for that. Biscuits and Bear, $20 super chat.
Oh, man.
Very much appreciated. We got a couple big super chats here on a Football Friday. By the way, like this video with the goal, 350 likes on a Football Friday. Not sure if this was talked about, but I'm really happy with how the Cards went toe-to-toe with the Bills after seeing the Bills dominate the Dolphins last night. I feel a whole lot better about Sunday now. I will agree with you, Biscuit and Bear, if they come out and play well and win on Sunday. If they come out and they get slapped around by Daddy McVay, I don't care what they look like week 1, because I've seen teams that look well and do a nice job. And we talk about moral victories, and then they come at the next week and they lose a clunker and they look terrible and they lose by double digits. Like, I think, as a caveat, as an asterisk, that has a shelf life of 7 days. And if they don't look good Sunday, no one cares about Buffalo week 1. That's my opinion.
You can call me a hater, but I just am ultimately of the opinion that the transitive property doesn't work at all in the NFL.
It's proven that it doesn't.
You could make the Carolina Panthers Super Bowl champions if you just went down the line, probably from last season, of teams they beat, those teams beat. I don't think it matters much. The Bills just have a mental block over the Dolphins, and I thought the Cardinals played a pretty good week 1, but I don't think it has any bearing on week 2 at all.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL, you have to win games. It doesn't, like, what's the saying? In college football, style points matter, and the NFL doesn't. The NFL is just like, did you win at the end of 4 quarters? That's it.
I mean, yeah, and you led by 14 points, and there are things that were red flags in the second half, like that took, like, sure, there was encouraging things from a loss, but at the same time, you're sitting there picking up the pieces on Monday, and you're saying, well, what went wrong and what prohibited them from finishing that game? And it's important to find that out. And like, does it take off the sting a little bit to realize that the Bills had another solid performance, or were able to parlay a strong second half into a 6 strong 60 minutes? And yeah, a little bit, but yeah, it doesn't mean anything unless the Cardinals win on Sunday, for sure. How about our guy Milwaukee Braves?
Yeah, another monster super chat. Yeah. You want to read
Very
this one?
generous today. Sunday feels like a must win. Maybe I'm overreacting being 2 games in, but it doesn't get any easier with Detroit next. I really pray Marv gets involved early and Drew doesn't call these conservative plays like he's scared. Hashtag hold the line.
Couldn't agree more. I've been asking everybody this week, Baldy, Michael Wilson, Mina Kimes, nice array of lineup that we have here. Is this a must win this week? And like nobody's come out and said that, but it all kind of feels that way. If you want to be taken seriously this year and you want to be a threat to play football in January, and there's a team in your division coming to town and they're not at full strength and they're on the road again, and you have the advantage, you feel like, with your crowd and your playmakers, you got to find a way to win. You got to find a way to beat this team. And if not, then you're going to be the Miami Dolphins of last night, where that was the same messaging that Miami was dealing with Buffalo. Yeah, you got some fun offensive weapons and you got a quarterback that we kind of like, but maybe not. You got to put away this team. Sean McVay, you have to end the reign of terror that Sean McVay has had over your franchise at some point. And I also think, like, I love Jonathan Gannon. He's been on this program. I want good things for him. It's like, he knows this. You can't be taken seriously as a franchise when you can't win divisional games. You play these teams twice. It's why everybody picked the Cardinals not to make the playoffs, because they like the Cardinals personnel, but they don't play in the AFC South and they don't play in the AFC South. They play in the toughest division in football. You got to be ready to compete against these coaches. You got to slap around Mike McDonald's Seahawks, and you got to split with Shanahan and McVay. You got to win your home games. And then guess what? You're a playoff team. But if you don't, if you go 0 for 6, you're not going anywhere.
Baharo3, $5 super chat here. Petzing in the Browns and Drew Terrell and Ron Rivera's Washington team. Overcorrection of Cliff. I want it balanced, not boring. Rooting for them. Thoughts on JG's offense, more Philly with Shane Steichen?
A lot of good stuff there.
Oh, he thought Jay-Z's offense would be more Philly with Shane Steichen.
They love the Browns and how the Browns operate. They got a bunch of coaches from the Browns. They took the Browns assistant strength and conditioning coach. If it keeps Kyler Murray upright for 17 games, you can't argue with it. But the points per game has to be there.
Right. And I think a lot the run game too, trying to establish the run and being like you're not getting away from it is a product of where the defense is right now too. Is you've got to control and sustain drives and to be able to keep your defense on the sideline and the opposing offense on the sideline as well. Yeah. So like to go out there and give up explosives or to get explosives would also mean, obviously points, but I think they also want to control that time of possession. Loso, $2. I could see Johnny's rapping to Ice Ice Baby. Did you break out some Vanilla Ice?
No, I'm not a Ice Ice Baby fan. I'm more of like a Go Ninja Go from Ninja Turtles 2. Remember when Vanilla Ice was at the end of that movie? That's where I'm a fan of Mr. Ice and his work.
Okay. All right. How about Corey and Lindsay, $1.99? I like this one, Johnny.
Johnny Venerable puts a Zen if we make the playoffs. I'll legally change my name right now. I will sell my soul for a playoff appearance. I'm at that point right now. I'm walking around my house, moping around, and it's just like, can we just please get a dub? I'm so tired of losing. It's going to be tough. I'm doing the post-game show with Britton Golden, does a phenomenal job. Damon Dawg in studio, and you and Craig Moore are going to call him from the stadium regardless of the outcome Sunday. It's going to be tough for me to do the post-game show. Like I'm going to put forth an effort. I'm going to be around, but I'm just going to tell everybody right now, you're going to tune in to a car crash. I'm just not going to be good. On the opposite end, if the Cardinals win Sunday, we're going to be talking about playoffs for 90 minutes. Be prepared. These next two super chats, I'm not sure I can read the avatar name, but we'll just call him Steve Keim. Steve Keim sending, I would send a 4th to the Jets for Reddick. I definitely would do that, 100%. And then tired of moral victories, according to Steve Keim, I want real victories. I'm assuming that's what he says. 100%. Like the goodwill with whatever this is now, rebuild, retool, reload. Like, nope, win games. Time to win games. Enough of this. Win games.
Well, I mean, it's rebuild. It's not retool.
Who says we're rebuilding right now? You're saying that. Who else is
Johnny.
Come on.
John. Come on. What did they do? What did they do the first year under Monty Ossenfort?
They rebuilt. They rebuilt.
They tore it down. Now they're rebuilding. They're not retooling. Retooling from what? Steve Keim's crappy roster?
I would say you rebuild and then you retool and then maybe you reload a little bit. But yeah, I mean, their actions this offseason.
You're just throwing off different names of like Fast and Furious sequels, like Fast and Furious Reloaded, Fast and Furious Retooled. It's just no, they're rebuilding. And like, can the rebuild be ahead of schedule? That's what this season is about. Can they be ahead of schedule? Can consistent quarterback play and the offense being the strength of this team, can it help put them ahead of schedule?
I would hope it's not a finished product watching this defense play. Patrick Early, $4.99 super sticker. Thank you so much, my guy, Patrick.
He was his first.
Yes. If you got a question, Patrick, sweeten the deal with New York by adding a dinner date with Chili's with Johnny V. It would be football malpractice not to accept it. Absolutely. I would take out Joe Douglas to Chili's. I'd even cover the bill.
Would you?
Yeah, but he's got
a gift card or something?
Yeah, definitely. He can only eat on one side of the menu.
What's the most expensive dish at Chili's? It can't be more than
probably like one of their steaks or some of their shrimp or something. This is not good podcasting.
Surprised you don't know it off the top of your
head. Most
expensive
expensive food at Chili's restaurant. The most expensive thing at Chili's restaurant.
You guys are so lucky Max Simpson is out of town.
Tell him he can come see me.
There's not any options here. I think it's probably like either the steak or you can do steak fajitas. But again, like
fajitas when they come out and they're sizzling.
Ooh,
it's tough to beat that.
Ooh. Here's what I like to do real quick. You get there, you get some drinks, right? You get the drinks going, you get the vibes going. You got football on the TV. You're doing the dirty queso, as we call it, the Venerable House, because it doesn't look like traditional queso, but everybody knows Chili's queso hits different. Then from there, you do a little triple dipper action, because what the triple dipper does is it allows you to cover your bases of what's not being included in your meal. Because I want a meal, but I also want to dabble on the Southwest egg rolls. I also want to get the honey chipotle chicken crispers. I also want to get maybe some mozzarella sticks. And then you go for, the big shebang of whatever your entree is. And then if you're feeling, the need, maybe a little skillet cookie, maybe a little molten lava cake.
I'll be honest. Is
that a perfect game right there?
Yeah,
Did Johnny
Michael Wilson?
Perfecto?
Do you think Michael Wilson? Do you think he'd be more impressed by JG's game plans on a weekly basis, or what Johnny just put on the table there at Chili's?
They're pretty comparable. Like how JG approaches the week leading up to a game, and then Johnny's process as far as ordering at Chili's. They have they're great in their own right. And I think Gannon would, even though he'd say that's non-winning behavior, like that's winning behavior, like within the confines of the game.
Bo, tell the audience in real talk. How many times have you been like, what are you doing tonight? And how many times have I been like, my family and I are going to Chili's? at least 10 times since we started doing the show together.
Yeah, it's more times than I can count.
Well, it's like, you moved to the East Valley now.
You sounded like Sean McVay, like reciting plays, like a third and 5 from a throwaway game in 2018, like just how you just ripped off that menu. That was impressive.
As impressive as this injury report, let's check it out. LA Rams not at full strength this week against the Arizona Cardinals. Puka Nacua out on injured reserve. So is Steve Avila. So is Joe Noteboom. All three are out. All three are starters offensively. Here's the swing portion of this, though, gentlemen. We're going to be joined by Craig Morgan here in just a minute. Kevin Dotson, their guard, Rob Havenstein, their right tackle are probable. We know Jonah Jackson, their free agent signing from Detroit, he's healthy. He's going to play center. For all this hoopla about their offensive line, they're going to have 3 of their 5 starters up front. So, again, it's not
Jonah Jackson playing out of position.
Yeah, and they were the last ranked offensive line last week in week 1, but they also played what a lot of people feel like maybe is the best defensive line in Detroit. So I'm not making excuses for the Cardinals' pass rush, which is terrible and needs no excuse making. But the Rams are not in a position where, like, it's not me out there this week. Like they have 3 of their 5 starters. They have enough there, especially with Cooper Kupp, to still be dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, Jonah he's played 61 career snaps at center.
Yeah.
And that includes last week's 37. So you like that. Like, you're including him because he's one of their starting guards, correct?
They signed him in free agency. We wanted the Cardinals.
He was somebody we identified for sure from Detroit. It's not a big deal. And Dotson was somebody that was, if he did hit the open market, was going to be one of the top guards. So in the interior of their line remains good. The weakness has been the tackles. They didn't have any room to lose anybody. So losing Noteboom is big. But it's like, okay, you're going to have to kind of expose that with your own pass rush, because like if they can neutralize interior with your new additions to the defensive line, like Zayvon Collins, Dennis Gardeck, Victor Dumukagi are going to have to, and Xavier Thomas are going to have to get free, are going to have to make plays off the edge.
Big yikes to that. Will the Cardinals score a dub? How about prediction time right around the corner with our guy Craig Morgan? Before we get to that, I want to talk to you about our friends at Chicken and Pickle. It is a dub when you go to Chicken and Pickle, specifically with the PHNX Cardinals tailgate, baby. Sign up right now. Come hang out at the indoor-outdoor entertainment complex, Coup de Gras, in Glendale, just down the street from the stadium. Chef-driven restaurant. They got bars. Of course, they got pickleball courts. Fantastic food vibes. Watch the early games there and then head on out to the stadium if you're going the game, or hang out the entire day at Chicken and Pickle. Why not? New at pickleball, newbie nights are just for you. Get on the courts with others who are ready to, dink and dunk around. Or if you're an experienced player, they have more advanced leagues. Check everything out. The facility is state-of-the-art. Instructions are included. Plus, every new participant gets a $10 Chicken and Pickle gift card. I'm telling you right now, their food is unmatched. The vibes are next level. Head to chickenandpickle.com to see all the fun you can have. Check out the description in the show for more information about signing up for our tailgate, as well as PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter. Bo's going to be there. Come out, Chicken and Pickle. It'll be a great time.
That's right. Right before we get to the stadium. And we got that giveaway going on with Pit Boss Barbecues. And you're not going to want to miss out there. Congratulations to Michael Lyon, by the way, who won a giveaway gift from our friends over at Pit Boss Barbecues. Check that out. Every postgame, all 17 weeks of this NFL season, we're giving away up to a grill, a smoker, a smokeless fire pit from Pit Boss. So make sure you're locked in to our postgame, and also see what's going on as far as our tailgate this week at Chicken and Pickle. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be your go-to spot before Cardinals games, and they're going to be home for the next 3 weeks. Also, speaking of your home, how about Empire Today to help with your flooring needs? It can be so confusing. Sometimes, like, you go talk to a mechanic, you don't know that much about automobiles, and you feel like you're getting screwed. The same goes for flooring. You don't know the ins and outs as far as flooring goes, but the professionals over at Empire Today, they're going to help you out, and they're going to make this as easy, quick, and convenient as it possibly gets. And why not start to save some money? Because it's never a small investment when you're working on your floors, whether it's an apartment, condo, or even your house. Save $350 off new floors by going to empiretoday.com/PHNX. That's empiretoday.com/PHNX. And you're going to get the best start to get new flooring, and you'll get the flooring finished as well by going over to empiretoday.com/PHNX. Start to save $350 and upgrade your floor carpets today.
Craig Morgan, his new article, it's a banger, previewing the Arizona Cardinals matchup at home against the LA Rams. It's Outside the Nest. We do it every week at this time. PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, Mr. Craig Morgan. How we feeling after last week's tough loss ahead of the LA Rams, Mr. Craig Morgan?
Well, I want to know what you guys left for me. What's left to discuss? Did you leave anything on the table here?
Well, I broke down the Chili's menu. You missed that. That's not available anymore. I haven't dogged on the pass rush too much. Now, we did table set it, Craig, with the fact that the Rams are missing some players, but it's not like their entire team's on injured reserve. Like, do you envision the Cardinals having a bounce back game defensively at home?
I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I still think this is the key matchup in the game. They are missing some players. The Cardinals have to generate some sort of pass rush. They have to put some pressure on Matthew Stafford. That goes without saying. So are they going to bounce back? I don't know, Johnny. We've talked about this so many times that they just maybe don't have the personnel to do that. So what you need is an adequate performance here. You need to generate a little more pressure than they generated last week, which was next to nothing. But I'm looking at something else, actually. I'm looking at a different matchup, and Bo and I got a chance to talk to him. This is going to come up later as well. I'm looking at what Kelvin Beachum is going to be able to do specifically against Byron Young. I think that's a really key matchup in this game. Young matched up against the right tackle last week. That's probably where he's going to be this week. 8 sacks last season, 1 again this year. That's one to watch. I'm really curious how Beach can handle this after a full week of reps. We got to talk to Beach. We talked to the O-line coach, talked to a lot of people about this. I do think the reps are going to help him, but he's got his work cut out for him. And that's a big, big part of this game.
Yeah, very big. Also, your article earlier this week about Marvin Harrison Jr., his lack of an involvement, kind of, I believe it fed the social media mob. They cherry picked post-game quote from Kyler Murray, but great insight. Do you get a good sense that they could feed Marvin Harrison Jr. a little bit better than they did in week 1?
Well, you would think that they will at this point. I'm not saying that media and fan pressure changes the way that they're going to operate, but
why not?
1 catch. Yeah, I mean, 1 catch, 4 yards. You got to feel it a little bit, right? You drafted him 4th overall. If he has another performance like that, listen, I don't care about this narrative. It's not a narrative. It's the truth in some ways that you gotta send the ball where it's supposed to go. You gotta make your reads and you gotta put the ball in the right spots. But Marvin Harrison has to get the ball. He's a playmaker. You have to feed him and allow him to use his ridiculous skills, his ridiculous size. I would expect him to be a bigger part of this game. If he's not, we're going to have another week's worth of narratives, I guess, because, who knows when we'll get Marv. So it stretched for 4 days this last time. And I really appreciated being taken out of context. They just cherry picked a couple words from that entire quote. No context whatsoever. So thank you, national media, for all the clicks on my story.
Welcome to the sleazeball that is NFL Twitter and the algorithm juicers that are out there.
Johnny, I was looking at taking a trip down memory lane. That is the 2023 season. The last time the Cardinals matched up with the Rams was November 26th. That was after the Houston game. So that's when the slump for sacks began. And Matt Stafford had a clean jersey. He didn't have to go wash his uniform after that game. He was not sacked by the Cardinals. And even including last week, we didn't see an edge rusher get a sack because the Zaven Collins one was waved off because of the penalty that we still are looking for. But the sacks came from Keitrell Clark and Roy Lopez. So we're still waiting for the outside linebackers to emerge. So, that plays such a huge role in this. And your ability to take advantage of we view as vulnerabilities of this Rams team. So that just happens to be where we are now as we start to kind of get into try to predict how this game can go. Craig, the McVay days date back to your previous stint to covering this team, right? The last time they beat them was in 2014 at home in November. It's been that long. It was B.A. Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, what happened in that game? Carson Palmer blew out his ACL, and a team that looked like it might be a Super Bowl contender was suddenly, eventually headed to having Ryan Lindley start in a playoff game. So that didn't go well. But it's amazing that it's been that long since they beat this. Can I ask you something, Johnny? Is this a rivalry game?
No, you have to win. There have to be a rivalry game.
Okay.
Just because
that's your argument.
Schedule. Hey, I have a rivalry with, when I'm out at the gym, lifting 20s with, Arnold Schwarzenegger because we both, go to a gymnasium. Yeah, this is a rivalry in my mind. The Arizona Cardinals don't have a rival right now. They need to win and be viable to get a rival. It has to be earned, right? Consistent, the Rams and the Niners have a rivalry, right? I would say the Cardinals and the Seahawks, when they were competing in 2014, 2015, the LA Rams look at the Arizona Cardinals and it's we're playing at Panera Bread State and they're Alabama in the peak of their powers. The Cardinals mean nothing to the Rams until the Cardinals can put up a big L on their schedule. Bo said it earlier in the show. Sean McVay probably just laughs coming into State Farm Stadium. And if that doesn't tick you off as an Arizona Cardinal and Jonathan Gannon, you got to do something about it. You get players, you get money, you get 12 calendar months to be able to prepare for these games. Why is it so ugly when they come into your building and when you go to theirs? Figure it out. I don't want to hear about rebuild. Beat this team. Let's go.
I knew that would set you up, first of all. And secondly, you would have been the best quotes in the story that's coming tomorrow, because I went into this wanting to write about a rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
And Bo was there. I didn't get anything. No, it's just another game on the schedule. We don't really, it's not like we get up for this game more than any other game. I want the Darnell Dockett days when I was getting F-bombs and nails spitting at me, telling me how much he hated the San Francisco 49ers or the Rams or the Seahawks. We got none of that. We got milquetoast. I had to veer off in a different direction in my story that's coming tomorrow. But I did talk about their ridiculous history against the Rams, their recent history, really the Cardinals' entire history in this division. They do not have a winning record against any of their division opponents. When you go back and look at the seasons when they did, they either won the division or they finished in second place. So it's kind of important to beat division opponents, but I guess it's not a rivalry.
It is not. Will they win this Sunday? We're going to talk about that. Let's talk about our offense, defense, and X factors. Craig, start with you, my friend. Who do you like to excel, or who needs to excel for the Arizona Cardinals?
Who did I go out on a limb here? Marvin Harrison Jr. They're going to feed him. They're going to feed him in this game. I think I'm not saying he's going to have a massive game. He's going to have a bigger game than he had in Buffalo. I really liked Mack Wilson's game on defense. I think he fits well in this scheme, and he seems extremely motivated. They've given him a little more freedom. I like him to make plays. And then the guy that I mentioned earlier, my X factor, Kelvin Beachum, Grandpa. I think he's going to perform in this game better than we think. Yeah, we could talk about that, Bo. But I like Beach. I think he's going to step up and give them a necessary performance on the right edge.
Yeah, I think Kelvin Beachum legitimately hates that his teammates, his head coach, called him Grandpa. It's like, I'm not a grandfather. My dad, who has grandkids, is a grandfather, but he is the oldest position player on the Arizona Cardinals. He can't run from that. But that's it. I like the X factor. I like your defensive star because Mack Wilson also can cross-train. He will come off the edge. We liked what we saw. I batted a ball down against Buffalo. Can he be one of those guys to generate a sack? And, normally I would laugh when you say, hey, our offensive star is Marvin Harrison Jr. and I'm going chalk here. But coming off his performance and us still not really knowing what that's going to look like, I do think that there's a bit of going off on a limb right here, even though like he's had his teammates, his coaches back him up and continue to stay, have a bunch of conviction in the 4th overall pick. But Cardinals fans want to see it. They've been wanting to see it ever since he was selected 4th overall back in April.
By the way, Beach mentioned he's going to get a haircut before the game so that none of his gray hairs show.
Let's get into mine because it does kind of piggyback what's going on with Kelvin Beachum, because I did also look at that side for where my X factor is going to come from. Johnny's going to love it. I know you are. My offensive star, though, it's going to be chalk. I am going to go with the Cardinals run game. I am going to take James Conner. James Conner, since he's come over to the Arizona Cardinals, has been a thorn in the heel of the Los Angeles Rams. He's found the end zone numerous times against Los Angeles, and they're going to lean on that run game. What did we see in overtime between the Rams and the Lions? We saw the Lions run it 7 of 8 times on that series and just jam it down the throat of the Rams defensively. And James Conner, I think, is poised for a big game to set up some things like to complement what Craig wants to see on the outside with Marvin Harrison Jr. Defensive star. How about Jalen Thompson? He had a pick against Matthew Stafford last year. Hopefully he can get his hands on another football this season. A turnover would do wonders like it did in the first half against the Buffalo Bills. Now you look to kind of up the ante a little bit defensively. If you got one turnover in week 1, can you get another? Can you actually be plus in that category? That would be huge. And I think JT number 34 will be big in that. And then my X factor, who's going to help Beach off the edge? Who can help him? How about the best blocking tight end in the draft, Tip Ryman? Now, I don't have him as an X factor in the red zone catching passes. No, do what he does best and help Beach as they try to make up for the loss of Jonah Williams, maybe chipping a little bit and helping with the Rams defensive ends, edge rushers there, Tip Ryman. That's why he's my X factor.
Get this off.
Pure trolling of JV right here. Pure trolling.
Get this off the screen. Oh, a third tight end is going to help you beat Sean McVay. No, we're not. I'm not entertaining that. The first 2, absolutely. Great players. Tip Ryman and his single catch outlook here in 2024. That's fine. I don't even know how to process that. Here's my predictions for week 2. the standouts, the real standouts, part of this show, part of this program, Michael Wilson, I think is going to have a big day. With our friends right now at Bet365, you can get plus money on Michael Wilson eclipsing 50 yards. I think that's a surefire lock this week. I think amongst this MHJ quote unquote drama, you're going to get number 14 making plays, ho-hum, and separating himself as a big time player at home. He plays his best games at home. You look at the Dallas Cowboys last year, you look at the Seattle Seahawks finale. This is somebody the Cardinals, I think, need to lean on early in this game, and then you can lull them to sleep and then try to hit a big play or two to MHJ. But stop putting all the pressure on Marvin. Let's go to Michael Wilson, at least to start this game. Defensively, Zaven Collins played well. I mean, Akaim said it. We've said it. 25 is right now your most viable edge rusher. If he's not going to go against Havenstein, he's going to be on the opposite end on their backup left tackle. And unlike Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford can't move. The Cardinals can't win unless Zaven Collins, in my opinion, at least generates some form of pressure. So hopefully he can build on his efforts last week. I'm putting Budda Baker in here because I'm hoping that he saw the Haason Reddick trade proposal on ESPN and that lights a fire under him, and he comes out and has a vintage Budda game, a sack, an interception, tackles for loss. Like, in all seriousness, Budda Baker's the highest paid player on this team outside of Kyler Murray. Budda Baker's your captain. Budda Baker needs to be one of the best players on the field for the Arizona Cardinals this weekend for the Cardinals to have a shot. No more of these, did he play? Let's check the box score. We need to feel Budda Baker's impact. And if we don't, if we're sitting here and it's like, where was number 3 at? Then we got a big time problem, Craig Morgan.
Did you reference Steve Keim? Did I hear Steve Keim referenced there when you were talking about Zaven Collins?
No, I did not reference Steve Keim. We don't reference Steve Keim anymore on this show.
Could have sworn I saw Keim. I don't know. We'll have to go back and check the tape.
Damon, Dawg, what do you like?
All right. For my week 2 predictions, I got Kyler Murray, offensive star. I just want to point out that it doesn't say offensive underdog player. It says who's going to be the star.
That's
so
right.
I went with Kyler Murray.
Nice.
And I think he has a good week this week. The Rams defense, I think it's decent, but I'm not like too scared about it. Only thing that worries me is that right tackle situation a little bit, but I believe in the Cardinals to put up points. Of course, I'm going with my boy Rolo for defensive star.
Love that.
I think if the Cardinals win this football game, they're going to have to stop the run, stop Kyron Williams, and Roy Lopez is going to be a big factor in that. And for X Factor, I'm going with Sean Murphy Bunting. No Puka Nacua. Matt Stafford, we know how he can just lock in on a singular receiver. I think it could be a big week for not just Sean Murphy Bunting, but all the cornerbacks in terms of when they are matched up one-on-one with Cooper Kupp. And hopefully, shut him down or at least filter him out a little bit, because I think he's pretty much destined to have a big game, but you want to keep him from having that monster game.
Could be a long game for Sean Murphy Bunting, but could be a positive as well.
That's why it's X Factor.
That picture of Rolo, though, you have of him just absorbing a Rams offensive
Does that
player.
fire you up?
That's about the hardest picture you could find.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty. I thought that was pretty good. It's him swallowing Kyron Williams. Possibly.
That's great stuff. How about a prediction from all 4 of us here? I am not enthused.
Hold on. Do we want to give our records from last week?
I think I'm 0 for 1 here.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Someone was exactly on the money, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to give Damon his flowers here for predicting the
Someone
exact
might have said
score of the
34-28.
game. Yeah, there it is.
We're giving you your flowers. Look at Johnny. He can't even do it. He can't even be happy for you. Like, it's a disappointing that the Cardinals lost, and then Johnny calls us shill boys, but he's the one that incorrectly picked them to win.
They should have won. They're up 14. They're up 14 points. 2 minutes to go in the first half.
Now we have week 2 where they can completely redeem themselves. And what does Johnny and the crew decide? Damon, can we see it officially now? Johnny has the Cardinals losing. 13-point loss for the Cardinals.
You guys can give credence to your score predictions. I don't need to say anything because I've seen it. I've lived it. I've got the scars. I've got the PTSD. Everybody knows what that score looks like. Everybody's seen this movie before. You're just doing the reboot. This is a made-for-TV movie, and it's a horror movie, and I've seen it so many times. But I'm in all seriousness, Bo, the Cardinals are going to win by 8 points against Sean McVay.
Yeah, I think that they're coming in wounded, right? Not only just because of the injuries they have on their roster, but also losing Sunday night the way that they did in overtime after they scratched and clawed their way back into it. back-to-back road games to start the season. I think that it's a recipe. It's a recipe that has the ingredients for the Arizona Cardinals to get the win at home. The Cardinals, they were within one possession of winning that football game. They had a couple shots at it. They didn't get it done. Can they put themselves in a position to where they can just run clock at the end of this game, put it away? I think that this is a very realistic chance that they even their record at 1-1. I've got the Cardinals winning 28-20 as opposed to Johnny having them lose 34-21.
It's got to end sometime, right, Bo? It's got to end.
It's got to.
Yeah, this is ridiculous how long this has lasted. Listen, you don't see this sort of domination in a division play. I just don't see this very often in the NFL. I can't believe that this is going to continue. I agree with you. The Rams are coming in a little bit banged up. I think they have some issues. I think the Cardinals are going to find a way to get this done. I'm not going to belabor it because you made the points already. I think the Cardinals are going to eke one out, move to 1-1, and then we'll see what happens the following week against the Lions.
I like the Cardinals to get out to a first half lead, like we're pretty used to seeing recently, and then I think the Rams just kind of claw their way back, and Matt Stafford connects with Cooper Kupp a couple of times on a game-winning field goal drive.
What you have described is the worst of all realities, right there. If that happens,
pretty likely though, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's probably why. If we get them squandering another lead in the second half, and it just be fueled by Cooper Kupp and some of the usual suspects, it would gross out Cardinals fans.
I can't believe we're sitting here after watching this defense for the last year, and anybody can suggest that the Cardinals are not going to hold this team under 30 points. I've seen it time and time again. Well, I mean, when was the last time they've held them under 30 points? Not even beat them, but like every time they play, they score seemingly at will. So until I see the opposite, I feel like 34 points is like generous. They outscored the Cardinals, by like 50 points last year in the two combined games? The games were not competitive. So I think it'll be competitive for some aspects. I think the Cardinals offense is going to feel the heat of trying to be perfect. And it's miserable to have to say that in Kyler Murray's, 6th or 7th year, where I felt like early in his career with Cliff and Vance Joseph, they had to go out every Sunday and play perfect to mitigate and offset Vance Joseph's defense. It's 2024. I'm saying the same thing. They have to go out and seemingly score in every possession because we saw what happened the second half last week's game. They felt that same pressure to do that when the floodgates open with Josh Allen and company. So this is, again, it's not about the players. It's not about Stafford or the offensive lineman or Puka Nacua not playing. I need to see this team hold Sean McVay to a reasonable amount of points. I have to wrap my arms around Dennis Gardeck and these defensive linemen who no-showed week one, and these cornerbacks who can't hang with Cooper Kupp and Budda Baker. Go out there and make it happen. I have to see that with my eyes before I can just start willy-nilly predicting it. Yeah. I've seen Buffalo play bad in openers.
You did week one? You did week one?
I just said I have seen Josh Allen play bad in week one.
What are you promising, Cardinals Nation, if you fall to 0-2 in the win-loss column? What are you promising, Johnny?
What am I promising?
Yeah,
Whatever you want. I'll sell my soul for a victory right now. I already said that on the show earlier. But here's the problem, Craig. I have watched this team time and time again lose to this man. And until I see it's like Santa Claus. I got to see it to believe it with my own eyes. You can't fool me anymore. This is a statement, in all seriousness. It's a statement game for Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray. And
I agree with that.
If you don't win this game, you got Detroit coming into town, likely 2-0. Again, my co-host here is Mr. Rebuild. He's got rebuild Brandon on his forehead. You can have a rebuild. Can you start 0-7 in the division and your rebuild? That's a hard sell, man, for anybody. That's really hard.
I agree. And that's part of why listen, I get what JG's saying about rivalries and the division games. And he did acknowledge you got to win those if you want to have success, if you want to get to the playoffs. But it just feels like there should be, I'm sure there is internally, but there feels like there needs to be some urgency here. Yeah, you need to establish yourself against your division rivals before you can make hay elsewhere. You need to start owning the division if you want to have success, if you want to be a perennial playoff team. So this is a huge game for them in that respect.
Jack Smith. JV needs counseling. He does, man. This team hurt him.
I'm here to counsel everybody else, Jack. That's what you're missing. Whoa, wake up. And I'm not going to charge you.
A week later, he got his degree in a week on counseling before he's just like, they're beating the Bills.
They should have. I should have been right. They were ready to beat the Bills, and they squandered it. Go to gophnx.com. Pick up the number 18 collection right now. phnxlocker.com. Sport it. You can't sport an 18 jersey at State Farm Stadium, but you can sure as hell shop the number 18 collection. phnxlocker.com. Maserati Marv, little Math T, little MHJ action going on. I'll be repping it on Sunday, trying to will it into existence. And the good news is I think Marvin gets into the end zone. I think Marvin has a big day. But can Marvin play defense? Can Marvin rush the passer? Maybe he can. Only if you shop the number 18 collection right now. Become a diehard. Read the many workings of my many talented peers, including Craig Morgan at gophnx.com. Gentlemen, it is game time. It is game prediction time. We've got 2 for wins, 2 for losses ahead of this weekend's action. You two will be at the stadium for the entirety of the game. We'll have pregame, halftime, postgame responsibilities here at PHNX Sports. I'm fired up. I'm nervous, but I'm fired up, if you can't tell.
Are you a little skeptical that they can get it done? Yeah, it seems like you've hammered that point home. But yeah, we're excited. We will be bringing you everything, all the sights, the sounds from State Farm Stadium the next 3 weeks, beginning this Sunday, including the post game. We'll talk to JG. We'll talk to Kyler. We'll talk to the players in the locker room, and then we'll join you, Britton and Damon Dawg. Can't wait for that. Make sure you check out Craig Morgan's article tomorrow. Go phnx.com. Already some great work up there. Was it 8 articles within the last month, Craig? So you got some to do.
Within the last half month, yeah.
You get there, read it. The special team thing, like you're still getting into this dynamic kickoff. There's a great article up there going in depth, going deep on the new dynamic kickoff. Of course, DJ Dallas was the first one to take it to the house for the league. So check that out. Go phnx.com. Craig, can you, before we get out of here, confirm that Johnny was an all-star on the karaoke stage the other night?
Johnny was pretty good, actually. I will give it up. I was impressed with Johnny. And he started are we revealing all this, Johnny, or you want me to keep this under wraps?
I'm very vulnerable today, so just lay it out there.
I'm just I didn't expect
whatever
that.
You want, whatever.
Johnny started with a Disney tune.
Oh, yeah, we've established that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that was out there. I was impressed, though.
That's what gets played at my house. Disney, Disney Plus, Moana, Frozen. Like, I listen. That's why Cardinal game days
for the adults too. You watch all the Star Wars stuff.
That's why I live in fantasy land 6 out of 7 days a week, and then I live in reality on game day, and it's so cruel to me. That's why I have to revert back to our Disney showings, because the Cardinals are like, it's X-rated with the results of this team.
Oh boy,
we got 8 wins in 2 seasons. Can we get our 9th on Sunday?
Yeah, not a lot of them are at home, right? They got to start to chip away at a lot of the narratives that surround this team. Their first crack at it is this Sunday. Can't wait for it. Join us pregame right around 12:30, Johnny. Kickoff at 1, and then halftime, and then postgame with the entire crew. It's going to be legit. Don't miss out on it. And if you're going to the game, stop by Chicken and Pickle at the tailgate. You're going to have an unbelievable time with the entire PHNX crew. I will stop by, hang out, enjoy myself. Do we want to tell my story of redemption or table that?
I think we have to real quick.
Okay. Quick trip back down memory lane. Last year when Kyler Murray was coming back from his knee injury, I exited the Cardinals locker room post-practice, and Kyler threw an unsuspecting reporter a football who had one hand to his ear with his phone, and it went off my chest and was an incomplete pass for Kyler Murray. I was 0 for 1 in receptions and targets with Kyler Murray. Today, that changed. I'm proud to say Craig, for whatever reason, must have been turned away, was walking to the Cardinals locker room. I caught eyes with the Cardinals franchise quarterback. We had nonverbal communication that he was going to throw me the ball. Threw me the ball. I secured it out front, hauled it in for the reception.
Hand catch.
This was not Andy Isabella out there.
If they win, it's because of that. I'm confident in saying that. If they lose, it's also because of that.
1 for 2 in catches and targets from Kyler Murray.
I heard whispers of a bobble. Just going to say it. I'm going to put it out there.
There was a catch. It was a catch.
All right.
I hauled it in.
Do you think yours and Kyler's chemistry has improved after this? Like, I mean, he gave you another shot. He called your number again.
Yeah, he did.
You have as many catches as Marvin Harrison, so congratulations.
It feels good. I believe we do have footage from.
We do, yeah. There was actually a camera on site that was filming this.
Let's take a look. All right, here's Kyler Murray practice. He's gonna throw it, and I'm gonna emerge, haul it down.
That's good.
It was just a dramatization of the events today, but it was that is basically what happened.
We're very proud of you. You've got this. You've been waiting a long time for this. We've almost been waiting the same time to beat the Rams as you have been to make your redemption in catching a pass from K1. So
I got mine. Now it's time for the Cardinals and Kyler get theirs.
Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, iTunes, wherever podcast feeds. You get them. Check out his work, Craig Morgan, gophnx.com. So much content coming out streamlined over the next 24 to 48 hours in preparation for game day. Speaking of game day, Bull Brock, Craig Morgan at State Farm Stadium, myself, Damon, Dawg, Britton Golden in studio, top to bottom, pregame, halftime, postgame. Your definitive premier Arizona Cardinal podcast coverage is here with PHNX Sports. For Craig Morgan, Bull Brock, Damon, Dawg, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you Sunday, folks. Buckle up.
We all silly like the mayor.